Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all you lovely freaks out there. My name is Sam, and this is the Sam Daily Show. Today it is, I think it's July 1st, which is just 3 days away from July 4th. And a lot of questions out there, why is it 4th of July whenever we always say July 4th instead of, that whole thing where, I don't know. I don't know why I brought that up. But this is what you get whenever you get a unwritten intro from Sam. I also don't know why I talk in third person. Sometimes that happens. It's okay. I think it's okay. I also sometimes, I don't ever hear voices in my head. I almost said that. But I'm not saying that live because then the state might come after me. And it might come after you and turn you gay. Because that's where we're headed. We're headed that direction. Is that where they want you to be gay. They want you to be gay. Can I switch? Yes. They want me to be gay, and they want everybody to be gay. We just ended Pride Festival. We're going to be roasting a little bit of libs. Since the last video that was posted, it is... Oh, gosh. Without further ado, this is here my good friend, my colleague, former podcast friend, and now jumping on the show. His name is, you love it, you need it. It is Sean Buxton. This is where the applause.
Yeah, thank you. What a clean intro, Sam.
Thank you.
I see not much has changed.
No, yeah. Preparation. They say that luck is preparation. When preparation and opportunity meet. Yeah, and the only part of that I have is the meat part. So.
Got it. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, first things first is if you're not subscribed, be sure to subscribe, comment below, smash the like button, share this with friends, family, whoever. We're also taking some call-ins. I think, and now I know that in the description below is our website. There's a bunch of guys on there that are writing articles. Be sure to check out that. And there's also a Discord link. If you want to be a caller on the show, then you can jump into the server, and that's how we take calls, which we will be doing near the end of the show. Before we get to that, though, we're going to be talking about, Christianity. The main thing I wanted to talk to you about was... being a Christian in corporate America, which is maybe not necessarily the spiciest of topics, unless maybe you were in corporate America, and Sean was in corporate America, and still attempting to be in corporate America. But what is that? Oh, gosh, 2 people, 2 Sams. That's no good. There we go. So what is it like to be in corporate America where you went to high school and then you went to college and you got the 4-year degree and then, wait, did you do college?
Yeah.
Okay. So then after the college and then after that, then you get hired.
Right.
Hopefully by some kind of business that's going to give you a fat lump salary, like $70,000 to $80,000 just for your start. What was your first salary that you got?
Oh, my first salary was $28,000. And it seemed like I was rich at that time, but I'm a little older than you. So
what was that? Can I?
Yeah, sure. Well, to back up the story just a little bit, maybe a little bit more interesting, since some of you aren't in corporate America, or many of you have dodged that bullet. I went to school for ministry to be a pastor, and so my degree is actually in biblical studies and historical studies, and graduated with my bachelor's there. But when I got out of Bible college, I went and I was a youth pastor and a worship pastor. And I did that for about 6 months until I realized, wow, I really don't like doing this. Unfortunately, I just dedicated several years of my life to learning how to do this better. And so the big guy and I were cool, but it was a matter of I just didn't like doing it for a living. So like many things where humans are involved, there's a dark-seated underbelly. You see behind the curtain, and it's not what your idealistic self thought it would be. And I think that's what happened to me with ministry. So I had interned several places, and I'd seen some of it, but to be on staff full-time with a not-so-great senior pastor and having some bad experiences there, I kind of decided, man, I'm going to go home and lick my wounds and try to figure out now what I'm going to do with my life. And I ended up in sales. at a big company, actually, J.P. Morgan, one of the big, power elites.
You're actually the second person that I've met in my life that is, and by the way, I'm looking at you, but I'm not looking at you.
Right, I got it. It's all part of a professional studio environment.
Yeah, if I could show you the stream right now, it's set up to where I think that I can fix it, but I just didn't choose to do that while Sean was speaking because I was trying to focus on what he was saying. But you said that you were a pastor and then you rolled into sales, which is like I said, the second person that I have met that has actually done that.
Well, when you think about it, I mean, that's it. That's what you're doing as a pastor. You're selling people, but not in a bad, dirty way. But you are trying to sell them a product that they can't see or touch or feel or, even confirm is real. And then in addition to that, you're selling them on a whole lifestyle change, right? Backed up by this unseeable force. And then you're selling them on, hey, now come and volunteer at the church and help us sell other people on this unseeable power of the universe. So there's a lot of transferable skills.
Persuasion versus manipulation, right?
Yeah, sales has never been about manipulation to me, and being a pastor was never about manipulating anyone. I know that happens a lot, but that wasn't my approach to it. In sales and in ministry, as long as you're quote unquote selling the best product or service for the money, you never have to feel bad about influencing somebody to take it for their benefit.
You know what I just realized? We forgot to do something before.
I know, and I reminded you.
So anyway, what I'm talking about for the audience, for those listening or watching, is that before I was like, Sean, you got to remind me, we got to pray.
And I did.
You did, and well, I said, well, right after this. So I don't.
God can bless us anyway.
Yes, yeah. God be with us.
Yes.
And that this is what it's kind of about. Is that I remember you calling me, and I was actually in the studio, and you were telling me about basically something that you had put on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Can we talk about that here?
Yeah, sure.
Now, this is different from where it was a year ago because we couldn't have talked about it on here. And for those who are listening who aren't a part of corporate or I mean, like, lay it out for us, because I know some of what it is. I know some of what it looks like.
Yeah.
But like, all I think of when I think of corporate America is I think that it's just like Facebook in real life. And so there are things that you can say, and there's things that you can't say on Facebook. Just as in any kind of large corporation, is that there are things that you can say in a corporation and things you can't. And it's always been like that to some degree, but it's never been it to the degree that we see it now. Like,
yeah, and what you're referring to, a year ago when we were talking like this, we were hosting Blood Brothers together, and I was operating under an alias, Dutch Robber. If there's any Blood Brother fans out there, all two of you maybe are listening.
There's some out there, man. We were getting like 40, 50.
We were doing okay for not doing it for very long,
and for being shadow banned and censored on pretty much everything that we try to share it on.
But working under an alias then, for fear of losing my ability to provide for my family, losing my job, because the things that we were talking about were controversial. And in corporate America today, they can get you fired very quickly. If the wrong person hears what you have to say or your opinion, and they disagree with it, reaction by some of them is to immediately go after your career and to want to reach out to your employer. So I think today's episode is good because it can serve as a warning to those of you that are thinking about maybe getting a corporate gig. It's not that it's bad. It's been, it's taken good care of my family. But at the same time, it's really tempted me, and I'm ashamed to say at times I've given into that temptation to not speak the truth and not to voice my opinions, and more importantly, not voice the gospel, right? And what the Bible has to say about living in fear of like, oh, I'm going to lose my job. The wrong person's going to see that.
Not just your job either. Like, that's one thing that I want to like really nail down, is that it's not just your job, it's also your livelihood. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's more than just an income, but it's also providing for your family, which the liberals at this point adamantly they despise family. I mean, it's very clear that especially after the Black Lives Matter on their website, they're like, we want to end nuclear family.
Yeah, that's part of their objectives. Yeah, and to that point, I mean, it's your career, meaning I've done this for 20 years. What else am I supposed to do to make money if I can't do this thing that I do for a living in corporate America? You follow me? So it's like a skill that I've invested 20 years plus of my life in.
You're passionate in it too.
Yeah, and I enjoy doing it because I get to help people, but that can all be taken away from you literally with one sentence, one word even.
And it's not, it can be taken away, but it has been taken away. I mean, we just covered a piece on not a pastor, but he was a coach. Did you hear about this?
Yeah, the coach that wanted to pray.
Yeah, that wanted to pray in the middle of the field. And they said, they being the school district, went ahead and fired him. Mm-hmm. And it was 7 years of not being able to do what he loved. And not only that, but also being not teaching. Mm-hmm. Like they took his the opportunity to teach away.
Yep. And he probably went to school to learn how to do that, got a degree, got his certifications, all the things you need to be a teacher, right?
Yeah.
And then invested all this time of his life, and then they just take that away. What's he supposed to do now? Is he going to go work at the grocery store and make a livable wage, that he's used to making? And the problem is, Sam, is as you get older, you start advancing. I was making good money.
Yeah.
You're making exceptional money. That's why I said I've been blessed by corporate America, that they've enabled me to take such good care of my family. Or been a vehicle where God has enabled me to take such good care of my family. But at the same time, you get to a certain level, a certain lifestyle then, and you say, okay, well, man, I have to choose between this lifestyle and the ability to make this kind of money or my principles, and you start to feel your principles are at risk. And who you are as a person. And I hadn't felt that way totally until just last Friday when the Roe versus Wade decision came out. And currently I'm unemployed because I got laid off again.
Yeah, so anybody who's watching out there who needs a solid sales consultant, it's proper to...
Yeah, sales management, sales leadership consultant.
I know the first time I met you is that you really didn't like it whenever I asked if you were a life coach.
Yeah, that's not what I do.
No. What he does is that practically takes your business and then pumps it full of steroids, mm-hmm. like a 14-year-old in California, and makes it to where the competition is absolutely nothing like the 14-year-old girls, while the 14-year-old...
Hold on, I'm writing this down from my LinkedIn profile. Keep going.
but basically what you do is that there's a sales team, and they want the team to do well. They want them to sell the product or whatever product that is, or a service.
Yeah, I solved the problem of how do you lead a team of salespeople to higher and higher targets month after month, quarter after quarter, without them hating your guts. How do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you get people bought into that kind of vision, and then how do you equip them? How do you coach them? How do you build your team culture? How do you communicate at a deep level with these people to where you're all working towards a common goal? And so, yeah, I've become an expert in that.
Omitting any kind of ideology, right?
Oh yeah.
It's just, it doesn't matter what they believe. But
no.
Let's line up and just say we need to sell this product.
Yeah. Or the service.
Provide the service.
Yeah, solve this problem. And that's a good point, is that to me is what business should be. It shouldn't matter if you are Christian. It shouldn't matter if you're gay. It shouldn't matter if you're Muslim. It shouldn't matter if you're black. All these identities that we like to assume.
Everybody needs a toothbrush.
Yeah, and we're here to do business. We're here to make money.
Yeah.
Right now we want to do that ethically. But what happened is corporate America started getting involved in social justice movements and started promoting things within the companies to their employees, to where now, in the name of inclusion and diversity, there was a certain component of the company, a certain part of the population that felt like, oh, well, I can't say anything because the CEO just came out and said Black Lives Matter is great. I don't see that based on what I see on the news, where they're burning down buildings and all this stuff. I don't see that. but I don't know if I can say anything because the CEO just came out and made a big speech about how great it was.
Yeah,
right?
or like, Gillette Razors coming out and saying like you are a you're despicable piece of crap that you need to be held back, you white man, or else you're going to be approaching women who are just walking by on the street, and that's not a good thing. That should be stopped.
Mm-hmm.
That should be stopped. And then, but then here's the light at the end of the tunnel is that somebody like, I can't think of his name. Ben Shapiro's boy.
Matt Walsh?
No, the guy who is the owner of the company, but.
Oh, I don't know.
Jerry's right. Well, I can't. Maybe I can check the comments and
maybe somebody will know
somebody will know.
The server.
But sorry, the comments now are flooding like crazy. This Discord thing isn't working. It's all right. That's one of the special kids.
Okay.
One of and yeah, I'm able to say that because
it's your program. You can say whatever you want.
Anybody who is not me is a special person.
Okay.
Yeah, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, unless I mean it disrespectfully.
And that's up to you to determine.
Harry's Razors was like the original company, and then Ben Shapiro's boy pretty much came in and was like, yeah, they canceled advertising on the Daily Wire, and then they said, well, we're going to do our own.
Okay.
And so they started up their own company called, I can't think of it, Jeremy Boring is his name, Jeremy's Razors.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so they stepped into that field and pretty much said, like, buy a razor that doesn't hate you.
Okay. Yeah,
and
I love it.
And I think that's great.
Well, they forced us into these camps, right? To where I would have disagreed with that 10 years ago and said, hey, man, don't alienate half your customers by making this about politics. Everybody needs a razor. Let them get a razor, right? But what's happened is the playing field has changed now to where you go on LinkedIn and you have people promoting, it's for the whole month of June. It's all about gay pride. Last Friday, it was all about Roe versus Wade, and it's very little about business, and it's really about these aggressions and microaggressions and everyone's experience. I'm a woman and some guy messaged me on LinkedIn and hit on me, and I want to make my post about that and how terrible it is. And, I'm a black person and somebody mistreated me at one point, and now I want to make a post about that, and everybody get upset about this. And the platform that used to be business only now has become like Facebook, but all your friends are in business and can ruin your career. Whereas, the real Facebook, most of them are just your friends that, your kids on the same baseball team with them or something like that. Now these are people that can make sure you never get a job at their company because they didn't like what you said in a post 6 months ago.
So I just looked up the pride flag. I actually never even looked this up, like what the meaning is, because every time I saw it, I just thought, okay, that's like who you like to have sex with. But there's actually an origin. Is that Gilbert Baker, born in 1951 and raised in Parsons, Kansas, had served in the U.S. Army between 1970 and 1972. After an honorable discharge, Baker... Wait a second. Gilbert Baker. Okay, this isn't the same Gilbert. There was a guy on Joe Rogan recently that... Oh, misgendered. Oops. After an honorable discharge, Baker taught himself to sew in 1974. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, the colors on here is hot pink, and that means sex. And then red, which means life.
Mm. Interesting.
And then orange means healing. Yellow means sunlight. Green means nature. Turquoise means magic. Indigo means serenity. And violet means spirit. So sex, life, healing, sunlight, nature, magic, serenity.
Well,
spirit.
but you're forgetting all the other new colors now for pedophiles and everybody, trans, and then they decided that black people need a color on their brown. Basically, everyone but the straight white guy needs to be on the flag.
This is interesting. Yeah, there's also this new flag. I want the most recent one is the 2021. So then they added here you go.
And then they even tried to put in their the Ukraine, the blue and the yellow together. I've seen that where it's another triangle. Somebody put those all together. It was very interesting. They put that flag that you're showing there. Can the viewers see that?
I'm gonna pop it up right here.
Somebody put 4 of those together and turned them each 45 degrees. Did you see that?
Yeah.
And it made a swastika.
Well, I shared that on Facebook, and then 2 people saw it. One person liked it, but after that, 1 out of 50% of people who liked it, they didn't feel as though more people needed to see it. But yeah, that's that flag right there.
That was interesting. See if you can find that to show people. I don't think that was the intent. I mean, I love a good conspiracy more than anyone, but I don't think that was the intent. But it is interesting that it ended up making one. But anyway, just to finish up my boring corporate America story. So when we were doing Blood Brothers before, I felt like it was a little provocative just by the kind of conversations we were having. And you and I know that we had another co-host that hopefully can join this show sometime. And I was always struggling with do I even want to keep doing this? Because we had people that really enjoyed it. I'd have people texting me all the time how great it was. When's the next episode coming out? We love it. But it was pretty crass at times, and it was provocative, unnecessarily provocative at times, using a lot of slang and words that I wouldn't use in corporate America, right? Or around even a lot of people in my personal life. And I just was I really felt like God was convicting me. He's saying, listen, you're telling people that they need to stand up for what's right. You're not even using your real name, so you're kind of a hypocrite. I felt like God was telling me. But at the same time, I was like, God, I can't use my real name, because if this got out on the internet, that would be terrible, right? Because it's kind of like half comedy, half reality, half trying to be shock jockey to make a point. And then also, at the same time, I was torn, because I was well, I'm not really presenting God in a good way. I'm not bringing people to God. And as a Christian, I want people to come to God. I'm not bringing people to God. I probably am actually repelling anybody that's curious about God. I'm probably not bringing them there. It's only kind of like preaching to the choirs. We used to say, it's only people that believe what I believe that are kind of high-fiving us as we make all these jokes and stuff. And so I just felt very torn about it all. So we quit doing it. And I was torn even about quitting doing it, because I did feel compelled to say something and not to just let things happen in our cultures. They've been happening. Anyway, fast forward to now, I got laid off my job. It wasn't because of anything I said per se. I didn't stand up on my desk on a Zoom call and declare the Beatitudes or anything.
Stand up on your desk and say, I am a man, and unzip your pants.
No, I didn't do anything like that.
Good.
But they did let me go, and it was kind of controversial when they let me go, because I didn't go quietly, as I'm wont to do. But that being said, I've been on LinkedIn a lot trying to drum up business to coach or to do something, and also get a new full-time gig. And last Friday, when the Roe versus Wade thing came out, it was like this tidal wave of, the only way I can describe it is demonic activity. People that were in high leadership positions, CEOs, VPs, senior VPs, CROs, people in leadership in HR, in sales, finance, all parts of every business, every industry. I primarily operate in a certain industry, and so this one in particular is more liberal, I think, than others. But it was like LinkedIn went crazy with people posting stuff about Roe versus Wade, and people saying, I'm sitting here right now and I'm literally shaking. This injustice shall never stand, and making these big declarations. And then towards the end of them, they would say something, and if you think it's not my right to have an abortion, then fuck you. And I was like, wow, this is on a professional business site. So imagine your CEO saying, and if you don't agree with me on this very controversial subject.
Yeah, if you don't believe that
then fuck
abortions
you.
Are cool.
Then fuck you. And it was, what surprised me was I never imagined there was such an insatiable appetite of professional women to kill their babies. I mean, that's the only way to describe it. They were very angry. I'd never seen LinkedIn like this ever before.
Well,
they were so angry that
years ago it was safe, legal, rare, right?
Yeah. Right.
And then it wasn't over, but like 5 years that something had clicked, and they thought, well, it shouldn't just be rare. Like, this should be something that's
my right now.
It should be celebrated. You know,
well, it's like
a strong, powerful woman to be able to do something like that, to make a sacrifice for her career.
Yeah.
Which is like a sacrament to the devil in itself. Like, to say that I am going to I'm going to sacrifice my child, raising a child, which is I mean, if there's anything as an example of a miracle in today's world, it is a child being born.
Yeah. And the
I'm
innocence
not much to
of
be
that
able to
child.
talk about that. I'm not a father, but you know.
Yeah. I mean, I've created humans 3 times, and I'm telling you that it is a miracle. And then to be able to see them every day and watch them change and watch them go through struggles and learn things and be courageous and be afraid and be spiritual. It's like a constant miracle seeing it happen.
Yeah.
And you do get used to it as a parent, and you kind of take it for granted. But at times, like, you're able to step back out of that role and see like some real miracles happening in your child. It is a miracle, not just the creation of them in the womb, but, you know, their whole lives then. And then the people's lives that they will touch and the lives that they will create. You know, imagine, I have 3 boys. One of them's married. They're all going to be married someday, and they're all going to have wives, and they're all going to have their own children, you know, God willing, and they're going to create new lives and new lives and new lives and generations. I mean, it is a complete miracle. So I know that Satan wants to stop that more than anything, and to attack a child and destroy a child, the most innocent thing on the planet. There's nothing more evil. And so as I saw people doing this and just going nuts because women couldn't abort their babies anymore, so they thought. I mean, obviously you still can. You just go. Well, most of these people live in a liberal state anyway, and they weren't losing anything.
Well, I mean, we should also be very graphic. Is that not just abort their child, but have these tweezers that are. I know you hate it whenever I make mouth noises, but forceps, and then crushing the skull of a baby and pulling.
Right.
Or the other option is also injecting it with. Poison, right?
That basically melts its brains. Yeah.
Or what is soon to be happening in California, where they're proposing a bill to be able to commit infanticide. So that's 3 weeks after a baby is born, that they'll be able to just end that life on the table. And I bet you're getting a little bit more squeamish than me, because I actually haven't had a child. But
yeah, it's when you think about that happening to your child, you're just, I mean, it's a weird.
Oh, and I'm also desensitized to it as well. Not just because of the left, but also because of the right. Is that, like, you know, you're hearing, you know, killing babies, and then you're also hearing, like, just abort babies. And then so, like, you're pulled in like these 2 different directions, and you're like, you know, I mean, I caught myself not misgendering people after making that video. Yes. Yeah.
I want to talk about
stories
that video.
about
Yeah. I just want to say this about the abortion thing, and we can move on, because I mean, it's kind of to me, it's a very simple concept, right? The Bible's very clear that, you know, God knew us in the womb. God created us. As a Christian, I believe God created everyone, and so they have a right to life because God has a plan for their life. So you can't destroy that life. It's not yours to destroy, and if you do, it's evil. And as far as the choice thing goes, I think it's a very simple response to their demand for choices. Yes, I agree, you do get a choice, and you made your choice. You made your choice when you got on your back and you had sex, and you didn't use any kind of protection, birth control or anything like that. And when you do that, then sometimes you get pregnant. Yeah,
it's kind of like the seatbelt analogy that I came up with the other day.
Okay, let's hear
and
this.
Maybe, ow. Maybe you can make it a little bit more better.
More better.
Is that I there's a kid in my truck, and we were talking about it, and a special kid, that is. And it's like the state enforced seatbelt law. Is that, like, you are forced to... I don't know how I did this.
Uh-oh.
I know.
Oh, no.
I'm stumbling. This reminds me of Blood Brothers.
I know.
I would come up with something like, this is good, but it's like you have got, we're going to we should have the right to be able to not put our seatbelt on, that way in case we get in a car accident. I don't know. I give up.
Well, they'll use that as an example. They'll say, hey, the government makes you wear a seatbelt. The government makes you wear a motorcycle helmet. And are you against that? Which I actually am against that, because it's my personal choice. But they always seem to disregard the fact that there's two people involved. It's not just you and your body. There's another body involved. So if you don't recognize that that's a baby, then we really don't have anything to talk about, because it's not going to go anywhere. But I really like hanging it all on the choice argument. Like they keep saying, it's my choice, it's my choice. No, you had your choice. The baby is not your choice. The baby is the consequence of your choice.
Yeah, so I guess the best thing is like, if you here's another analogy, is that if you drive and then you take that vehicle and you want to go ahead and drive 150 miles an hour down the highway, and then you get in an accident. It's like it was the choice was whenever you chose to put the pedal to the metal and slam that thing all the way down and drive at that speed. And it's like, well, no, but they're forcing me to do that because I had to get to work on time or something. Like,
well, think about it like a speeding ticket. So you make the choice to speed, you get pulled over, the cop comes to your window. You don't say, hey, I don't want this ticket, I choose not to have it. No, you're going to get the ticket. Yeah. The ticket is the consequence of a choice you've already made.
Yes.
The baby is a consequence of the choice you already made. Now, the next argument they always come with it right after that is, oh, yeah, well, what about if somebody was raped, huh? And that's ridiculous, because that's less than 1% of the abortions that take place.
Well, even
are for people that are raped or incest is less than 1%.
But they even said that if we allow that, or if we put that into the bill, would you still sign it? And they go, with their fluoride stare, going, no.
You can even make a moral argument to say, I understand that would be awful, but if I make a bad decision, let's say I get like stupid drunk tonight, and then I go home and my kid's there and I beat my kid. Yeah. I made a bad decision. Should my kid suffer because I made a bad decision? Does that make it okay for me to beat my kid because I made a bad decision? I mean, it's actually less. That's actually less extreme, even though it sounds extreme. It's actually less extreme than abortion, because what you're saying is, oh, well, somebody made a bad decision, so it's okay for me to take the life of this kid. I'm just saying, hey, I made a bad decision, drank too much tonight. It's okay for me to beat him up, right? I'm not going to kill him, but let me beat him up at least, right? That's my choice. You put it like that, it's absurd.
I'm sorry, you're just so good at sales that sometimes you speak an analogy, and I'm like, maybe it is okay to beat my child.
Using their logic is what I'm saying. Yeah. It would be okay to go home and beat your child because you just made a bad decision.
But that's the thing is that they don't believe in logic.
Yeah, it's becoming increasingly difficult to have rational conversation.
And we said that we'd pull in scripture or speak. I mean, is that I always go. And it's also referring to what I believe is that it's referring to, and maybe somebody can correct me in the comments or something like that, but it says in Isaiah 6:9 is that people will hear but they will not see. People will hear, but they will not listen. People will listen, but they will not hear. People will see, but not perceive. Mm-hmm. And like that's like where we're at right now. Yeah. Of course, that's referring to Christ. But I think that Christ is enveloped in so much more than just Christ. It's also in truth. And we weren't kind of planning on going down this route, but also like my question is like, where is the role of the church in all of this if those two are together? Is that where truth is and where Christ is? Is that, and I've asked a lot of guys, like what, asking the question of like, what does a Christian in media look like? Like, because I'm flying by the seat of my pants. I don't know what I'm doing. Where am I going to go? Am I going to go down the street, UMKC, and learn how to become a journalist?
How to become a Christian broadcaster?
Yes. I don't have a clue what that looks like. But where is it where you draw the line and you say, okay? And so it actually, in this video, is that I had this thought to, it wasn't until afterwards, and maybe it was me justifying my actions or I don't know what, but it was Well, Christ would ask questions a lot of the times, as he would ask questions.
To make his point, yeah.
Yes. And so I think that a role of, and I'm curious to hear what yours is like as someone who is a Christian in media, because I'm sure that you have plenty to say about, who's the guy at Blaze?
Glenn Beck.
Glenn Beck. He's the Church of Latter-day Saints, though, isn't he?
Yeah.
We won't go there.
You know what? We actually have a lot of friends that are Mormons, and theology aside, they're really great people.
Yeah.
You know, they have different sects too, right?
Sure.
Not SEX, SECTS, where they have different beliefs, just like we do on the Christian side. And for me, to me, that's such a small fish to fry.
Yeah.
Right now, I feel like we got
I think that a big fish right
fry.
here to fry is that, like, how is it that we as Christians are going to not only still include ourselves in corporate America or include ourselves in media? Because like what you're saying is that you've got CEOs that are saying like what they're saying, and they're sure as hell not going to hire you, and they're going to hire people who aren't going to hire you. You know what I heard recently is that Facebook has a 94% turnover rate, or not turnover, but what's it called when people quit over and over? 98%
turnover. Fine. Yeah, or attrition.
Yeah, is it 98%? So they're hiring people that are clearly not qualified, and likelihood of them,
or people that don't appreciate the culture.
Yeah, well,
right.
Yeah, maybe you should go work for Facebook.
Yeah, right. No thanks.
But what I'm saying though is that also in media is that I'm getting shadow banned like crazy. Like I can't. I mean, like, I can go to my most recent Facebook post and see how like one person likes it.
Yeah.
And two people saw it.
Right.
And I am unable to even get a third person to see it because of that shadow banning.
Well, and that's because, I mean,
can we even say that word? That's another thing is that, like, can you even say the word shadow banning?
Did we just get bounced off of YouTube because you said the word shadow banning?
Yeah.
It's like you may never talk about all our atrocities. We don't want anybody to know what bad things we're doing to silence people, so we're going to silence you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know me, my criticism of how we got here is on the shoulders of pastors, because they're one of the few professions that are still out there that really can speak the word of God, can speak truth, can speak freely without putting their professions in jeopardy.
Yeah.
And if they would speak more freely and more openly, then the rest of us could start speaking up too without as much risk of losing our jobs. But I say all that to say, I felt guilty. I'll go back and just finish up the LinkedIn story, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
from an hour ago. But
no,
I was sitting at my house with my wife. It was last Friday night, and I'm just watching just all this garbage and just evil vitriol on LinkedIn. People so upset that they can't murder babies as conveniently as they'd like to anymore. And I just felt compelled. I felt compelled to put something up on LinkedIn. I'd never done that before. I've never used LinkedIn as anything other than a business vehicle. So I'm talking about coaching. I'm talking about sales. When I post, and I do post almost every single day, I'm talking about business stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what the platform should be. It shouldn't be anything else, because we have other platforms for this other stuff, and it distracts from what we're there to do, which is network and to share best practices with the business people. That being said, I said, hey, if everybody's going to be sharing their beliefs today openly and freely, I would be remiss to not share mine. And I said, number one, I'm a Christian. That doesn't mean that I'm a good Christian. Doesn't mean that I'm perfect. You know, I'm trying to handle like all the objections that people have.
Sure, yeah.
Because somebody's going to be like, oh yeah, well, I was on a sales trip once with Sean like 5 years ago, and he said,
he put a finger up my friend's catfish.
No, there's no stories like that. But thank you for making my wife upset.
I said catfish. nothing.
But no, they could say, oh well, I saw him once and he was drunk on a sales trip, you know, in Florida. So he's not a Christian. What's he talking about? So I wanted to be sure and say, number one, I'm a Christian, not perfect. That doesn't mean you're perfect. That means you're trying, right? You're trying to get there, right?
Yes, I acknowledge my sinful past.
Yeah. Thank you. That doesn't disqualify me from saying I'm a Christian. Sorry. And then number 2, I'm against abortion. And the caveat to that one was, and that doesn't mean I hate you if you are for abortion, but I do think it's wrong.
Yeah.
And I have the right to say these things since everybody else is saying what they believe. I have the right to say these things.
Not only the right, but also the responsibility and obligation.
Exactly. And that's what I felt the Holy Spirit was convicting me. I was saying, hey, you need to say something. And I'd never felt that before. I had felt my flesh get pissed off before. And like many times when we did Blood Brothers together, and I would get pissed off.
We'd be talking about Desmond the Amazing.
And and kind of like what I said before is like I felt like maybe I was kicking a hornet's nest or something, and then wondering why I might get stung. But this time I really felt it was like the Holy Spirit saying, "Hey, listen, Sean, you don't even have a job right now, and you're still scared to post something." And I said, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm going to post something. And what's so stupid is I act like I am Rosa Parks or something. Like that I stood in front of a tank in Tiananmen Square. All I did was make a stupid post saying I'm a Christian, I'm against abortion. But in today's culture, that was controversial. And I had people messaging me going, wow, dude, thanks for doing that. That took a lot of courage. I also had other people say, oh, well, let's see what your employer thinks about this.
Yeah.
Commenting immediately, their go-to was, let's see if we can get you fired. And tagging the company they thought I still worked for in the post, in the comments, hoping that the company would see that and be like, what? Well, if he's against abortion, then he can't work here no more.
Yeah.
Because, we sell marketing technology. Obviously, we can't have people that don't support abortion here. They two go hand in hand. Anyway, I said, hey man, joke's on you. I don't work there anymore. Sorry. But it is interesting to me how your go-to move immediately is to try to get me fired. Is this like the tolerance and the inclusion I've been hearing so much about at work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also the question is like, I wonder how many of those people would message you and not comment on it or like it or show kind of, or how many of those people didn't themselves put something up like that. And it's so silly too. And like, I know, it's like you said, is that it's not like it's not that big a deal. Yeah. But it is, it truly is that whenever you start to take into account the forces that are against you, and destruction of your livelihood, and not being able to provide for your family, like that's a heavy hit. Yeah. Well,
I said that to my wife. I said, she was like, well, are you sure you want to do that? Because she knows I'm looking for a job. So when you're looking for a job, people are looking at your profile. Yeah. Right? They're looking at your post. They're seeing
how fake you are,
what you do and everything. And I said, babe, you know what? Either we believe God is going to provide for us or we don't. Yeah. That's the thing about God. And maybe this is the message I want everybody on your server to get.
I'll put it, so you've got main shot now. You can say it into the camera right there.
It's not going to be that impactful. I was just going to say, that's the thing that I've come to realize about God is it's either he's real or he's not. There's no in between. If he's real, then we got to treat him like he's real all the time. We can't just treat him like he's real when it feels good to us. And I'm the biggest criminal here. Right? Like I'm talking to myself right now, but this is something that God's working on my heart about, especially in this culture today, in these last days, what I believe are the last days. Either he's real or he's not. If he's not, then fine, screw it. We can do whatever we want. We can do things that help us and make us look good and give us influence in crowds and in groups that can help us. Or if we know he's real and we're saying, hey, I gave you my life. I'm supposed to be living my life for you, not for myself. I know that there's a life that goes on for eternity after this. Then I have to be able to make a post like that. And again, I feel so lame even saying that because it's no big deal. But we made it a big deal in our culture, our society, because we've let the culture, Sambo, we let the culture get away from us. We sat out from the culture. And when I say we, I mean like the church sat out from it. So about 30 years ago or so, the big controversy in the church was, oh, what's the music like? The drums are too loud. Oh, you're leading the music with a guitar now? Ooh. And if you've never been to church, I know this is like cuckoo talk to you. Like, you're like, what are you talking about? But I'm telling you, there was a time in the church where churches split over the fact that one guy had led with the piano, and now we hired a guy to lead with the guitar, to lead songs, or we used to do hymns, now we're doing choruses.
Yeah.
Or the music, I can remember leading worship in a church, and the deacons were in the back with a decibel meter measuring how loud it was so that they could say, oh, we only want it this volume and you're too loud. I'm there doing worship for free. I'm doing something most people can't do, which is play an instrument and sing and lead people into the presence of God, right? And you're worried that I might be a decibel too loud?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking. Like, the church was so focused on crazy stuff, or maybe arguing over, well, this sect thinks that you should speak in tongues, and this sect thinks it's weird to speak in tongues, and so we're going to fight about that. Meanwhile, the homosexual agenda is rising up, right?
Yeah.
All these other agendas are rising up. Abortion is becoming mainstream, and the church is just like looking the other way because it's much more interesting for them
to have conflict
within and argue about this stupid shit than to address the stuff that's going on in the world where people are going to actually have to put their livelihoods on the line.
Even though in the letters from Paul, is it like he addressed those things?
Yeah.
Directly.
Yeah, but we become so soft. We're such pussies. It's disgusting. Myself included. Like, I'm throwing myself in there. I'm preaching to myself right now.
Yeah.
It's like we've all become so soft and such pussies that we won't stand for our faith in any scenario. And,
sure.
And I'm just thinking about, like, if you believe in the jab and all the things that come with it, to where we think, hey, there's a day where someone's going to come knocking at your door and say, hey, you got to take this or else, or you got to do this or else. You know, the government comes to coerce and to intimidate you.
And not just you, but also your neighbor.
Yeah, everybody. And I'm thinking to myself as a Christian, as somebody who's been a conspiracy theorist for 20 years now too, thinking, okay, well, what makes me think that I'm going to stand up to that person at my door with a gun when I won't even make a post on LinkedIn?
Oh, but
it's crazy.
But I'm so courageous that I put hashtag stand for Ukraine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anyway, so I digress. But so I posted it, and like I said, I got some love, I got some hate. For me, that's not the platform for it, so I didn't make any posts. Like, that's not my new thing, is like posting on LinkedIn every day about my religion. And, you know, I still think the platform's not for that. It's for business, and so I'm doing what I think is right. But at the same time, you know, either God's going to give me a new job and the employer's not going to care about that stuff, or he's going to provide for me some other way. I don't know. It's up to him at this point.
We have a caller, I think.
Oh, cool.
All I have to do is say when, and I think that they will pop in. But this is a guy who is not from these parts.
Alrighty.
So he's across the pond, as somebody.
In the UK?
No, he's not from the UK.
All
Don't
right.
say that.
Okay.
Don't accuse.
Let's hear from him. I've always wanted to do this. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air. I love it.
Hello. Hello.
Well, it's much cooler when they're actually there.
Yeah. You know what's funny?
Did you not plug in your laptop and it's dead?
I didn't plug in my laptop and it's dead.
So some of you, if you remember, maybe you recognize Sam's voice.
Yeah.
And you've never seen him before, because we didn't do Blood Brothers on video.
Oh, yeah, we didn't.
So nobody knows what we look like. And so this is sDs.
Yes, this is
in the flesh.
In the flesh.
I hope you don't mind me revealing your true identity.
Yeah. So for those who are listening who have no idea what is on we had a podcast called Blood Brothers, and it was all on audio, and I was like, dude, we gotta go video, and you were coming to me and you're like,
dude, could we put on some bandanas? Like, we could put some bandanas
Thanks.
on, or could we wear,
you want to talk about COVID and then like wear bandanas around your face?
Yeah, I know, it was lame.
I have the title as roasting liberals, but like,
yeah, it's roasting Sean.
Yeah. I should have been doing.
Well, I'm here now.
Yeah,
here I am, look at me, it's me.
In the flesh.
So, whatever.
But the computer is now booting up. We will be getting questions here. Until then, I've got some people here who are saying Sam is the next Timothy Poole.
Ooh, damn.
Yeah,
that's quite a compliment.
I wouldn't take that. It's not much of a compliment. Although he is influential.
Maybe that's what they mean, to his level of influence.
Yeah, like what he's doing, I think, is huge.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of weird that he has a bunch of dudes that just live in a house together and they're like
I think it's weird that
35
he
years
won't
old.
take his hat off. Have you ever seen him without his hat on?
He's been no.
I haven't either.
I actually Googled it. Do you want to see it? Not the flag. Tim Pool.
Did it show him without his hat on? Like his high school picture or something?
Wait. No. No beanie. It was...
I know you're going to kill me, and we can't edit this out like we used to, but I have to go to the bathroom. Can you...
No, that's fine. I can hold the audience right now. So
yeah, I know you can.
I will attempt to do so. Whenever... you got to watch your head on that. For the second time. Sean just hit his head on the lights that we have in the studio. Yep. Anyway, so we will... Wait a second. Here, turn you up right here. Hello? Anybody there?
Hi.
Okay, hey, what's up? Caller on line 1. What's up?
I'm alright.
What up, baby?
I'm alright, thanks, man. This is African Randy coming to you from, Africa.
African Randy. Now, I know you. Sean doesn't know you. But, yeah. I'm kind of ticked. Not ticked. I gotta change the title here. Is that Roasting Liberals. Is that I kind of wanted to roast him for talking about how he made a simple LinkedIn post and then... But that's... have you been listening? I guess is my first question.
I have not been listening to everything now. I've listened to a bit.
Okay. Well, Sean is in corporate America, and he basically is... He's gonna go down in flames. Are you gonna get a job in corporate America again?
That's the question?
Yeah. No, that's not the question, but that's my question. And then I'll introduce you to African Randy, who will ask that question.
Cool.
Are you optimistic, I guess?
Yeah, I think I am. Because I know there are some patriots and some Christians that are on LinkedIn that own businesses that would want someone like me to work for them. But more than that, I have faith that God's going to, just open a door for me. Whatever it is. It doesn't have to be in corporate America. I mean, I actually wish it wasn't, because I just get tired of wondering, are they going to find this episode of Sam Daly's show where I said something they disagreed with, so now they feel compelled to fire me because of their so-called values of inclusion and diversity that only apply to some of the people in the company?
Sure. Well, good, because there are a lot of conservative companies who are growing, Christian companies who are growing.
Yeah.
I think that did see like seeds like popping up.
Mm-hmm.
Like Daily Wire is a really good one to, even though there's a lot of people who dislike the Daily Wire, but still they are doing. I mean, what is a woman that came out that?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Inspired quite a bit.
The problem is I just make an incredible amount of money. I'm just stupid rich, and so I'm just kidding.
Okay, so we have African Randy on the line.
Is that why he wants to be called African Randy?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Well,
what's up, Randy?
If in Africa you want to go by a, that may be his actual name.
Just this one clip from the show could get me excommunicated and canceled from corporate America.
Yeah,
calling him African Randy.
Well, he is from Africa. He's from Africa.
No, I get it.
Yeah. So go ahead, African Randy. What's up?
Not a whole lot, man. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man. What's up? You got a question?
Yeah, not really so much a question. I'm just happy that we're live, happy that there's guests, happy that things are happening. I mean, happy for you if you're going to a job that's not sitting in a cubicle all day staring at the computer screen.
Yeah, well, we can keep our fingers crossed. We'll see. I may still have to do that, but the
Lord will provide.
Yes, sir. And don't feel too bad for me, because there's people out there digging ditches and doing a lot harder work than staring at a computer screen in the air conditioning. So
honestly, I'm happy that Sam went and did some footage of our alphabet friends, and that's live on his channel.
Yeah,
got some interesting thoughts and perspectives there from the very, very intellectual people who dress up as strange fantasy characters and expect us to indulge their delusions while they make more moves to gain power and do more to, groom and molest our children.
Well said.
So that's certainly something to keep an eye on, I would say.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. But yeah,
that's a good thing. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that show up and actually film them. Let them speak. Let them air their views and tell us what they believe.
Yeah, expose
we
kind
should
of
give them a platform.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think most Americans will understand that these people should not be allowed within really, a couple of light years of children. That anything that involves them and children is inherently a very bad thing for the future of America and really the entire West, because just remember, what happens in America happens everywhere else. America leads and the rest of the world follows.
That's true.
So in America, anti-white racism is rampant. It's rampant in the rest of the world. The alphabet people groom kids in America. It's just a question of time before they start grooming kids in the rest of the world.
I think you can say that. I don't know if it's entirely... Maybe we ought to lay low on the G word. It's actually quite sad that I have to say something like this, and also point out to a lot of people who are watching that is the thing, is that there are specific words that will put a target on my back. In fact, so much so that even Instagram they said it was going to be like a 60 to 90 day ban, and I posted something up like just moments ago, and it was cool. But easy.
And it's not. But I mean, Randy makes excellent points.
We would not call the G word people the G word. We would rather call them child friendly.
too child friendly. But it's not because you are scared to be known for saying that. It's because you're trying to get the message out, and you need these vehicles to get the message out, the messages that you're sharing on Sam Daily. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah.
Because with my situation, like, I was not saying certain things because I was scared of losing my job and losing the ability to provide for my family. In your case, you're saying, hey, let's not talk about brooms and brooming and sweeping the floor, the G word. Let's not talk about that because they'll censor us, and you won't be able to, share and reach more people.
You'll be shut down more than we are right now. I mean, this channel is not going to be on the recommended. So that reminds me that if you're watching this and you enjoy this, then be sure to share it. Because, like, it's not me saying, like, share it, I want to become famous. What it is that it's share this so that some people can, like, 2 or 3 more people can hear it, right? So that people can see what's going on here. So you had shared your story about what it looks like in corporate America. What does it look like in Kansas City? Can I say that? I'm going to say it. I said it. Sandman.
Let's take a look at
it. Sandman is one. Entering Sandman. You heard that song from Metallica?
Oh, yeah.
What is it called? Entering the Sandman?
Yeah, definitely.
That's a good song. I just wanted to point that out there. That's a good song. Mm-hmm. But Randy, did you see any particular part in that video that you think what struck you the most?
Yeah, I think the thing that stood out to me the most, other than how these people try and present themselves as being, super child friendly. I think it also shines through that they constantly have to involve kids, and you have to ask yourself this, because these are not the first people to engage in sexual acts, right? But even in relatively degenerate times in history, it has never been common to perform sexual acts around children. It's just something that most societies have understood is not acceptable. Mm-hmm. And that's why people would not typically take their child to a strip club, for example. However, these people perform the most bizarre sexual acts publicly in front of children, and they encourage people to bring their children. Mm-hmm. In other words, the children are not there as a byproduct. The children are brought there. And what struck me as well was the absence of any media. I would say that apart from your crew, there didn't appear to be any other people filming the event. one would presume that there would be positive write-ups in the media. I mean, no journalist who wants to have a job in mainstream media will take a stand or say anything other than wonderful things about the alphabet people. But realistically, one has to realize that if you don't go there and cover this doesn't get covered. And that's why liking and sharing your content isn't just about making sure that more people see it. It's making sure that people show up and film these things so that people can realize what's happening. Because until people see it, it's not real for them. Mm-hmm. It's not real that these people are literally dressing up in weird sexual costumes, performing absolutely horrifying sexual acts in front of little kids, until you actually physically see it, until you can see someone that you know, that you've listened to, that you know what kind of a person that is on site there.
Randy,
and I think it's absolutely critical. And the fact that you go and interview these people just shows you, because you can watch through that video and see what these people say on interviews. They are quite honest about their beliefs. I mean, you can see they're trying to present themselves positively, but they're quite honest about their beliefs. These are not people that are going to be content to just be tolerated. They want to be embraced, celebrated. They want you to take pride in what they are doing. And they will indoctrinate your kids into it to make it possible.
Yeah, they're looking for promotion. They don't want it used to be, hey, just don't beat us up. Just don't be mean to us. Not that there was people driving around beating up gays anyway.
See, it's a cycle, and you can go read. There's some interesting books on the topic that you can go look up. But basically, it's part of a strategy that's designed to normalize, and it starts with acceptance, and then it starts with please tolerate us, please accept this, and then it gets to normalizing it, and then it gets to celebrating it, and then the next step is participation, and whether you like it or not, these people will make you participate.
Yeah.
Because that is literally just the next step of their plan. And there's not a whole lot that you can do about that, unfortunately. Once you are at that point, then given up at every previous step. And so the idea would be to try and preempt that by resisting the perversion that's taking place. But there is quite a well-known book, about that takeover. That you can go read, but really it's a step-by-step process: acceptance, normalization, celebration, participation.
Yeah, I think one of those books would be Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. There's another book.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, another book called on propaganda. I forget. I think it may just be called Propaganda.
Well, Saul Alinsky's that's the one that Obama pumped up, yeah?
Yeah, they all use it.
That's the one book that I really want to read. Yeah, it basically is showing how to gaslight the world, and then pulling back, and then keep gaslighting them, and then to where you can then pull all of the power away from the people.
I want to ask Randy. Randy, do you see a correlation between the fact that the drag queens and maybe even just the homosexual community in general uses such bright and vibrant colors, and the drag queens are dressing up as clowns? And do you see that as a way to connect with children and to draw them in as part of their strategy?
Oh, definitely. I mean, everything about them is designed to appeal to kids. And much like the guy with the creepy van offering the little children candy, these people are the entire movement is designed from the ground up. Even in the way they speak, I mean, you'll hear that they speak in the sort of ultra friendly tone that one would use towards a child.
Yes, very sing-songy. Yeah.
Exactly, and And so now one must ask the question, why is it so important that they appeal to children specifically? What makes children involved in this activity?
Especially,
and the answer is, imagine a child-friendly stripper. Would you think that that's normal?
No.
Because I certainly don't think strippers go out of their way to try and be child-friendly, right?
No.
So why do these people?
Right.
And even this brightly colored flag they fly.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that it has 6 stripes, not 7. Now, if one were to think about this for a second, one might come up with a suggestion that perhaps this is a perversion of the biblical promise.
Yeah, God's rainbow.
But either way, these people are most certainly after your children, and if you give them the platform to speak, they will tell you in as many words that they are in fact after your children.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about it logically, it actually makes a lot of sense. It's basically an imperative for them to go after your children. They don't have a choice, because if you cannot reproduce, you must recruit.
Yep.
And no matter how much they want to try and convince people that they can actually have a natural, quotation marks, relationship between people of the same sex, that simply isn't true. These people do not, as a general rule, reproduce. And so instead of reproducing as people normally would in many cultures around the world, they instead recruit people into their ideology. And that's why they focus so much on the schools. That's why they focus on the universities. And the reality is, you can raise your child up to be someone who shares your values, and then you send them off to public school from age 6 to 18, and then you send them off for a couple more years of university, which is full-on indoctrination.
Mm-hmm.
And so, a friend of mine said the other day that we send our children off to Caesar, and we're surprised when they come back Roman.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that is exactly what is happening, and these people, are very explicit about it. It is their intent. I would just point out a book that I highly recommend. It's called After the Ball: How America Will Conquer Its Fear and Hatred of Gays in the 90s. Because that book actually outlines their tactics very well. And there's something to be said for looking at the plans that these people are putting into place. Because at the end of the day, what is the future going to be? Where does this end? And right now, your country wastes that over its embassies. It wastes the pride flag.
Mm-hmm.
Is to be an American to be gay? Is it an inherent part of the American identity now? And I don't think most Americans would agree with that. However, it's forced upon your nation, often at the barrel of a rifle. The soldiers that occupied your capital forced it on you at the barrel of a rifle. And when you go to places like Afghanistan and you attempt to force it on those people at the barrel of the rifle, it's shocking to find that they fight back and they don't accept it.
Yeah, they get a different reaction there.
Yeah, because for most cultures around the world, whether they're Christian or Muslim, that's unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
Most people don't think it's normal to touch little kids. They simply don't. They think children are to be raised and protected to be the next generation of people, as has been the order for thousands of years. These people are a relatively unique phenomenon.
We saw this
the fact that they...
Sorry, go ahead.
The fact that they utilize indoctrination to get decent people to fight for them is the only thing that gives them power. When they go to another country and conduct combat operations to secure an area and enforce their agenda of transing little kids there, they don't do so by having Antifa soldiers die. They do so by having decent Christian Americans die in combat to see their filthy pride flags wasted and their evil agenda advanced. And they do it under the guise of patriotism. and call every American who disagrees with them unpatriotic. But I think it's essential that we ask the question, what is an American, and is it being gay or being queer or whichever of the 5 million genders or whatever the Democrats have invented? Is that inherent to being an American? Can you not be an American without being gay? Because if you waste that flag,
Randy,
alongside, go,
Randy. I hate to cut you off, but we gotta keep it rolling. But we did find a question there that we have for Sean, and that is, what is America? I also want to open it up still to others who are interested in calling in. Again, you can next time I see you in person, which is going to be in about 18 months on April.
Randy needs his 23rd. Own show.
Right,
Randy's got a ton of great things to say, so I really appreciate you calling in, Randy, and really got me thinking as well. It's good stuff.
But I'm cutting you off. Thank you very much for calling in. Yeah. Every time you speak, I kind of don't know what to say, because then I'm just kind of absorbing it, and I'm not very intellectual with my words. I'm on the other side of the I'm on the other side of the horseshoe theory. But we appreciate you calling in, Randy.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would just point out to you that you have now passed over the 500 subscriber line, and you seem to be gaining more subs, so congratulations.
Well, it's got to be because of good callers like you, and not because of Sam, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's nothing to do with it. It's actually all Sean. I just snapped. That's what I get. But thanks, Randy.
Thanks, Randy. Good talking with you, brother.
I need a guy that's in here that's can push the applause thing or something, have a sound guy.
You used to do that. You used to do the cool drops.
I know, but it's so hard to do that and do the hosting thing.
Boom. I would love to do both.
I have I don't. It might play here. I don't know what it is.
Oh no.
But what?
It might be an old Blood Brothers one.
Oh wait, here it is. I gotta turn it up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was caller number 1. We really appreciate it. If you'd like to get involved, go ahead and click in the link below, join the server, and you'll have your own chance to be a caller.
Okay, we got any more? We're gonna look at your video.
Yeah. We named the whole entire episode "Roasting Liberals with Special Guests," so we do have to.
Which we haven't done very much roasting.
No, no.
That's okay.
So I've got. Oh, yeah. We were last looking up what did the flag mean. What was something that stuck out to you?
I think the clip that was most interesting to me. I mean, there's a lot of just really strange looking people. That it just seems it's odd to me that they feel compelled to look as bizarre as they can. I know that there's lots of gay people that don't do that. And to be frank, I really don't care from a human perspective if somebody is gay and they're doing it in the privacy of their own home. That's the libertarian inside of me. As a Christian, of course, I think it's wrong. But there's lots of things that are wrong. That being said, I do find it interesting that a lot of the ones that get out in public and make themselves seen are like what Randy was talking about, which, they're very colorful. They want to dye their hair. I don't know if you saw the clip or not, and I'll answer your question here in just 1 second. I don't know if you saw the clip or not of talking about how they endear themselves to children. The guy with the Bugs Bunny mask. That's all he had on was a Bugs Bunny mask and then some Bugs Bunny slippers, walking down the middle of the street lined with adults and children in a parade. His dick is just out flopping around, and he's just dancing down the street.
I haven't seen that video.
It's real. It's real. I've seen it. It was on Twitter. I saw it. The guy is his dick is just flopping around while he's dancing. And
I mean, was the guy well endowed or
No, he wasn't. It made me feel good about myself because I feel like I have the Toyota Camry of dicks. It's just right in the middle, right? It's not. It's not amazing. It's not but it's not bad either. It was better than his.
So compared to this micro, no, we're not going to go into. But yes, yeah.
Yeah, it is odd how endeared they are towards children, and how obsessed they seem to be to include children in their lifestyle and promoting it. And to Randy's point, you don't see a lot of, even the most promiscuous of the straight sexual preference, you don't see them really trying to bring children into the mix. Most people feel like that's something we can wait for, maybe till they're 18 or something.
I mean, especially when at the top of the flag, that first color is sex.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, and there's no guessing.
No.
There's no guesswork. It's like, what is it about? Is that, okay, I'm proud to be, I mean, there was a gal that said, I'm proud to be a lesbian. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm representing the lesbians. Which means I am representing the, I don't know how graphic I want to get. We've got pretty graphic on Blood Brothers, but now, like, you in here is like this totem pole. If you guys didn't listen to Blood Brothers,
you'll never hear it.
You'll never hear it.
Because they've all been deleted.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway.
So
let's the one clip though in your video that I thought was interesting was when you're talking to the gal. I guess it's a woman that.
This right here.
The woman that thinks she's a man, and yeah, with the motorcycle.
Yes.
And I thought you asked a really great question. Why don't you play that for the viewers?
I don't know if I can hear.
You don't know if you can run your audio through it or not?
Can we just do subtitles, and then I will subtitle it? I will English.
Yeah, basically, I mean, what you do...
Here, you'll be... And we can't dead name, or else we'll get kicked off.
We can't...
Can you read this from here? Yeah, you can't dead name. Say that she or he or whatever. So we have to, like, just...
What's dead name mean?
Not dead name, but it means... What it means is saying, like, if you went by she...
Uh-huh.
And I called you a he... We get in trouble.
Oh my gravy! Are you serious?
Yes.
I can't live in this clown world anymore, man.
We could honestly tune out in the later episodes. Chat, let me know what you think. Is that in the later episodes? Is that we could tune out of YouTube, and then we could jump into the world of Rumble, which we can say whatever we want.
Yeah, you should probably think about doing a version of the show like that. Anyway, this individual, can I say that? Can
yes,
we
this
identify them as a human? Or is
that's bigoted.
Maybe they identify themselves as a seahorse or a vacuum cleaner. I don't know. This human that Sam is talking to basically is in a motorcycle group. I'm not going to say club or gang.
Yeah, for the audio listeners, he's going to do a better job of explaining it than me. Yeah,
and Sam asks this individual who's transitioned to the opposite gender. He's asking.
It says here. But I don't know what makes a woman. Is it more difficult for a man to become a trans woman or a father?
What were you going
Both
for with that question?
Both are equally difficult. What's that?
What were you going for with that question? Because you asked that several times. Is it more difficult for a man to become a trans woman or a father? What point were you trying to make with that?
So it was a flawed question, right? In the realm of those who still believe in truth and logic, and is that one is a woman? Is it more difficult for a man to become a father? That's true. Like, that's a valid question. Is it difficult for a man to become a father? Right?
When you say difficult, though, do you mean like to actually create another human, or you mean to be a father, like the act of being a father? So
I was hoping at like, actually it was being a father. It was actually cleared up with they. It was a they. They said that they were bipolar.
That's probably true.
Non-binary, so it is
okay,
they. So
whatever.
They said any man could become a father.
That's true to an extent.
Yes.
I mean, that is true. We have lots of dumbasses that have technically become fathers by procreating.
But yeah, the spirit behind the question was not just becoming a father, but being a father.
Gotcha.
Which is valid question. Is it hard for a man to become a father? It's like,
To be a father.
To be a father.
Yeah.
Yes. Right. So then on the opposing end of that question would be, and just as I was telling Randy how I'm not very intellectual, let me tell you here, this took some time to like process, and why is it that I asked that question, is that the second half of that question is it hard for a man to become a woman? And that is not necessarily, that's a valid question, but it is, the answer is yes, because it cannot.
Well, it's impossible.
Yes.
Technically.
Like, is there a difficulty for a man to become a... And maybe I didn't think that through. I thought of that question, and then I was like, what? Let's go ask some people that.
They weren't going to give you straight answers anyway, even if you had worded it just a little bit differently. I don't think you're going to get real answers. This individual here, what you point out, though, is this a motorcycle? Because you challenge them, you say, okay, well, what is a woman? And they basically say, well, whatever. Whoever thinks they're a woman is a woman.
It was a little bit later.
Yeah, you cut back to this a couple times. Anyway, then you say,
there you
go. What is a motorcycle then? And he's like,
I feel like you're transphobic because you want me to define as a physical being, like physical attributes of a woman. No, I was just giving examples. Okay, I was just wondering, what is a woman? And then they said, a woman is a woman. Like, whoever identifies as a woman can be a woman. When you're reading this is so much
it's even dumber.
It hits you even harder.
Yeah. Can you stop there for a second? I'll make a comment.
Yeah, sure.
It's the opposition to absolute truth. They're trying to get rid of absolute truth, and you can't do that because it's absolute. So if I was speaking to this person, I would say, okay, well, wait, do you believe in gravity?
Yeah. Whereas I said, do you believe that
this is a motorcycle? Right. Yeah. The same thing is like, there's certain things that
we got to find common ground here.
They're undeniable. Mm-hmm. They're undeniable. How do we believe in gravity? Because we see the results of it. How do we believe that's a motorcycle? Because we've agreed as a society that's called a motorcycle, and it's got handlebars and two wheels and a motor and
an exhaust pipe.
Right. On and on. So there's some absolute truth, like if you jump off of a building, you're going to die if it's high enough, right? If you point a gun to your head and pull the trigger and it's loaded, you're going to die. Like there's some absolute truths that you cannot get away from. So my question would be...
Well, almost like, what if I brought a picture of a dead person and I said, what is this?
There you go. Now, see, that was awesome, man.
Yeah?
I like that. You're like, what is this? And you're showing them naked and they got a ding-a-ling, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, what is this?
Oh,
this person can't tell you what they feel like.
Yeah.
Or what they're thinking.
Yes.
Or that their LinkedIn profile says he, him.
If you were to guess, what is this?
Yeah. You wouldn't look at that and go, I don't know, I have zero idea. It could be a zebra.
Title of the video has changed to brainstorming next video.
Okay.
Play the audio. I can't. Okay, this.
Yeah, it's not a very good show, though, Sam.
Yeah.
If you show a video, but they can't hear it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Just a little feedback for you on the suggestion box.
Well, you know what?
I thought you could show videos.
I honestly, the tech side of these things is very difficult. You have the side of hosting, and then you have the side of...
I know, I'm with you.
Technology. We're going to have a guy who's coming here soon, though.
Cool.
He's going to know everything about it.
Are there any comments that we need to address in the chat? We're probably about out of time. That we probably run our course here.
Yeah.
People are getting bored.
Are you hungry?
Am I hungry?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Okay. All right, because there's... We'll talk.
All right.
But running through the comments here is that we've got a lot of people here tonight. Thank you again for tuning in. I think that the purpose of this is that more people hear these things because, as you say that in the corporate America, is that people are frightened to even post a comment on LinkedIn about what they know is true. And then on my side of things is that people are even afraid to post something on Facebook because they can be censored. Mm-hmm. So we're at a place that is just very...
And what's great about the server, and this was kind of one of the things we were trying to accomplish with Blood Brothers too, really was to help people know that they're not alone, even though you feel isolated.
That's what they're trying to get.
By these beliefs that make you feel like you're the only one that feels like that.
No, yeah.
And so you start to think, wow, I can't say anything. There'll be no one to back me up. There'll be no one to support me. No one believes what I believe. And your human your human nature starts taking over and you go into protection mode and survival mode instead of being able to say, hey, no. I need to be able to share my feelings and my thoughts, and that's how God created me, and I have a right to share those feelings and thoughts, especially in a free country like America.
Well, and it's okay. Here's another thing is that it's okay to, and I am guilty of it entirely, like, it's okay to have hatred it's not okay to have hatred, like you want to be right with God, but if you have
like a righteous
sexist,
anger,
bigoted, racist, whatever, is that it should still be like, if you bottle that up and not say something like that, and I've got a point here, a greater point that I'm sharing, is that if I'll just take of those xenophobia, let's just take that one. But if you have hatred for the Irish, there we go. I'm trying to work in my wheelhouse.
Find a white guy. Nobody will feel bad about that.
If you don't like the Irish and you hate the Irish and you absolutely despise them, then you should be able to say that, and there will be maybe an Irish person that is able to say, well, why is that, and then rationalize your position. Because if you can't say the things that you're thinking, then how is it that ever you will be able to even rationalize your position and work through it? Because once you start to rationalize something like hatred for an Irishman, then there's no rationalization. I mean, you can't hate an Irishman. If you've ever met an Irishman, have you ever met him?
I have. Yes. I've been to Ireland a couple times.
I've never met an Irishman that I didn't like.
They're hard not to like.
Yes. True fact. So anyway, it's important that we're able to share what we're thinking, because then we are held accountable to what we're thinking and asked why. And then you can say, this is why. And then somebody can say, okay, here is where is missing. And then also buttress that, and I used that word earlier. I like that word. Buttress it up with the gospel, right? Yeah. With scripture. And by saying, okay, well, when it comes to race, is that's like all washed away right there. Is that whenever it makes it clear that we are, as Gentiles, are grafted in to the olive branch, right? Is that there is really only two races. Is that those who follow Christ, who walk with Christ, and those who are not. Those who believe that we come from sinful nature and need Christ to forgive those sins, right? Like for that debt to be paid, and those who don't believe that,
they don't feel they need it,
and so that takes away, like, okay, well, black, brown, whatever it is, we are now, and by extracting that, by saying why is it that you believe that, and I probably did the most piss poor job of explaining that, but I think maybe some people I think you would agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, the Bible talks about working out your salvation and fear and trembling before the Lord. I think that's not just a solo thing that we do, but I think we do it as a community with each other by sharing ideas and thoughts and challenging each other to where you could maybe tell me, actually, I think it's this way. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's a good point.
Christ is the head.
I'm going to change my mind. Yeah. And this is part of me working out my salvation. It's not for us to assume that we work that out just, by ourselves alone. And so anytime you're censoring speech, I mean, it's a very slippery slope. And what's funny is there's always somebody at the top that's deciding which speech is okay and which speech isn't. There was a time when there was no term for hate speech. That didn't exist. It was a made-up thing. Like you had never heard of that. And it wasn't that long ago. It was not that long ago. I'm talking like 15 years ago. Nobody even knew what the expression or term hate speech meant because it didn't exist. It had not been created.
So we've got, first of all, this guy named Aaron says sDs. So somebody has now
I think that's my buddy
face to go with the voice. Yeah. I'm just
he said he loved to hate you.
Yeah.
That's what he said. He loved to hate you, though.
That's exactly what I heard too many times in high school. I was loved to hate and hated. But anyway, we have 5 people who are listening right now. If you guys jump in there and smash a question, we will answer that. While you're thinking of your questions, is that we'll run back to Randy's question. And what is an American?
What is an American? I think it's somebody that's born in America.
Yeah. Who has American citizenship?
Yeah, you're born in America.
Yeah.
And now if you come to America and you're willing to go through the process of becoming an American citizen, now you're an American.
Yeah.
It's like asking, like, what would you ever ask the question, what is a Chinese person? I mean, it's somebody from China, right? We're the only country on the planet that feels obligated to like take anybody and make them an American. Like no other, you don't go to Japan, and Japan isn't like bending over backwards to make me Japanese if I go and start living there. They're just going to be like, hey, you're an American, you live in Japan, doesn't mean we hate you, but you know, hey, come on, dude, you're not Japanese, obviously.
Yeah.
Right? We're the only country on the planet that feels so obligated. Well, let me back that up. There's probably some European countries like the UK and some of these, you know, real progressive European countries that have given up their culture as well and their nationalism. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think based on my travels around the world, and I've been a few places, we are one of the least racist countries. We accept everybody to a fault. I'm not saying we have to run them out of town, but I think we should have a standard of how you become an American. And if you're willing to work through that, which some people are and they have, then yeah, you're in. We're cool like that. Same way the family of God works, right? But if you're not willing to go through the process, then you don't become an American just because you happen to step foot on our soil and stayed here. And obviously there's beliefs and things that go along with that. You know, I remember when Barack Obama said that, you know, we're not a Christian nation. I think there's inherently certain beliefs, freedom, you know, Christianity, capitalism. To me, these are the fabric of America, what America is. Yeah. Baseball, rock and roll, you know, even things like that. This is part of being American. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way.
Yeah. And okay.
That doesn't mean like if you come to America and you never become a citizen that we hate you. It just means you're not American. That's okay.
The question is, what does it mean to be an American given so many Americans are anti-American? Yeah. Well, I don't think that they're anti-American. Is that what they are is anti-principles and values that are to be represented by America.
That have typically Americans. That have what have made America great in the past.
I think it's the principles and values that are. JJ and Django asked the question of how much code would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chug tablets of Benadryl? Let me say that again. How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chug 13 tablets of Benadryl?
This is where the show like starts to wind down. I feel like.
Yeah. I'm gonna close out. So, if you are watching, yes, be sure to subscribe. Huge congrats. I'll play the tune right here, not the tune, but one of these maybe has got to like be like a. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're happy that you are here. Subscribe, comment, like, do whatever. If you're watching this not live, is that we go live every Friday with Sean here at 7 p.m. If you're going to be coming back around on Monday, I think we're going to have a show on July 4th. I haven't quite decided. We'll find out. This is a live program. I want to continue to do this live, or I need to continue to do this live, as well as doing videos on the side. Somebody said what to do about progressive Christians in them. It's okay. You can put more comments or questions in there. I don't know what I'm saying at this point, but yeah, subscribe, comment, like.
They need to be challenged.
Yes.
With the Bible.
There we go. That's a good answer. I was on my like driving vibe where I'm just like.
I know. I just wanted to address that because I think it's an important question.
That is. Yeah, love them, and heap burning coals on their chest by loving them.
Yeah.
I think that's a good verse to point to.
Last comment for me, if you don't mind. Yes. So all the things that we talked about tonight, as far as my opinions, I think I would probably speak for you as well. I would hearken back to that same principles, challenge them based on what the Word of God says, and that's where our beliefs come from. So you don't have to agree with me because it's not me, right? The things that we're talking about, whether it be abortion or whether it be homosexuality, it's not Sean saying these things are wrong. It's the Bible that calls these things out, right? The Bible is calling out these issues, and I'm just saying, as a Christian, as a believer, I believe what the Bible says, so I'm on board with that. That's what's important, is that we recognize the Scripture is the standard that we have to go back to. So to your question, well, how do you deal with a progressive Christian? You got to take them back to the Bible. And if they're not willing to go back to the Bible, then you really don't have anything to start from. There's no way to really reason with them.
And then we also have a quick question here, is that what are the principles and values you are referencing? And this is the very last one, okay? And I will answer this.
Yeah,
is that
go
the
ahead.
principles and values that I'm referencing are those that are that come from God, okay? I think that it's less of acknowledging, or rather holding these values of being true, but understanding and knowing where those values derive from. I mean, it's said very clearly in the Declaration of Independence that these are God-given rights.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the more important side of things there. But if you're asking about the principles and values that I'm referencing, then like read the Bible.
Yeah, that's where they come from. I mean, stuff like don't steal, don't cheat.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of stuff.
Obey His word.
Yeah. Love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah. Don't
mess around with little kids. You know. Some of them are pretty basic.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, appreciate y'all tuning in. Yeah, be sure to share it too. And jump on samdailyshow.com. You can scroll to the bottom. You can also the link in the, I guess it's not working, but whatever. Go to our website. There's a bunch of cool articles that are written by our team. And share this with a friend. Is there anything that I'm missing here? There's going to be something I'm missing. Let me tell you a little story about how I got these scars.
Well, it's time to go, Sam.
Yeah, it's time to go.
Thanks for
All right.
having me.
Yes. Thank you for being here. And I bid you adieu. Now there's the outro music where I just go.